What is cooking? What's cooking, kids? It's Mr. Allred, it's your math teacher. We're going to talk today about mini lesson number 2, the slope of 4 types of lines. So brace yourselves. Honestly, brace yourselves, because this might be the most important day of math instruction that you've ever had in your entire young adult life. Okay? That might just be true. So please do your best to pay attention. Okay, you should be able to explain how to find the slope of a line and describe the 4 types of slope by the end of the day today. All right. So for a long time now, we've talked about constant proportionality. We've talked about unit rate. Okay, we talked about all these things, and we've written equations, right? We've looked at tables and written equations. We did this a little bit yesterday. Okay, and this has all been leading up to this. Okay, if you want to know the truth, here's the truth. Okay, this constant proportionality we're talking about, this unit we're talking about, that all of that is slope. Okay, it's all the same thing. I want you to write this down. Star it. Put a star next to it. The constant of proportionality, the unit rate, all of that is the slope of a line. We're going to talk about slope today. Okay, when we're looking at lines on graphs, it can form a line that travels one of 4 following ways. It might have positive slope, so it might increase from left to right. Okay, that's definitely something that could happen, and we'll talk about what that might look like. It might have negative slope, so it might decrease as a line from left to right. Okay, positive or negative slope sounds simple enough. It might have 0 slope. That would be a horizontal line, like a field. It has no slope. There's no hill. There's no valley. It's just 0 slope. Okay, and it might be undefined. We can't really put a number to it because it's a vertical line. I think about cliff jumping. That's right. I think about literally jumping off a cliff. There would be no slope there, nothing to ski down, because you would just fall. Let's not beat around the bush around that. And you probably wouldn't make it for too long if you jumped off a cliff. So that's an undefined slope. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take these pairs of points. We're going to look at a couple graphs here together, and we're going to try to figure out what the slope of these lines is. Okay. The neat thing about this is we're always going to write it in the same form. We're always going to write it as a ratio of rise over run. That's super duper important. We're always going to write it as a ratio of rise over run. I would say, hey, I would even take that. I would put another star next to that. Okay. And that's just pretty important. Okay. We're going to think about it as a ratio of rise over run. So if I wanted to actually look here at this graph, remember that these coordinates are always going to be in the form x, y. They're always going to be in that form. Okay. That's another pretty important piece of this puzzle. You might want to even make note of that as well. Okay. So where x is -1 and y is 1, we're going to think about that point right there. X -1, y 1. Be right around here in this area. Okay. And then where x is 4 and y is 3, right around here in this area. Apologies for that little mishap. Apologies to me. Okay. Where x is 4 and y is 3, right here in this area right here. Okay. This is going to form a line kind of like this one. Okay. It's going to form a line kind of like this one. We're going to try to figure out how far it rises and then how far it runs. So I'm literally going to take these points. I'm going to say, hey, it goes up 1, 2 from that point to that point. That is the rise. Okay. And then it actually runs over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points from -1 to +4. Okay, so we can write that as a ratio 2/5, and that's our rise over our run. That is the slope of that line. It's 2/5. Okay, because that's a positive number, we're going to call it a positive slope. Okay, because that's a positive number, we're going to call that a positive slope. If you look at the graph itself, you can see that it actually increases from left to right. If you think about it from going left to right, the y values are higher on the right side of the graph than they are on the left side of the graph. Okay, that would be a positive slope right there. We can also look at another graph, number 3, and I might ask you to look at this one with me. Okay, if I have a point at -1, +5, it'll be right around this point right here, and then a point at 2, 2, right around this point right here. That's going to draw a line that looks kind of just like this one. And by just like that one, I mean literally that one. okay? And it has a rise and a run as well, okay? If I look at the rise, it actually goes down from left to right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down. It goes down -3, and then it actually runs over 1, 2, 3 times, okay? +3 times. So you could say that the rise over the run is -3 over +3. That's the rise over the run. And that might simplify to -1. If you actually divided those fractions, that would simplify to -1. So we've got the rise, -3, and the run, +3. And all we have done is we have simplified that fraction. The slope of that line is -1, and that is a negative slope. It's a negative slope there on that line, a negative slope on number 3. Okay, so I'm going to look at one more here with you. I'm going to look here at number 2. Okay, if I plot some points here for number 2, I got -2, +1. That's a point right there. And 3, 4. That's a point right here. Okay, you're totally going to draw a line through those 2 points. So you definitely will be asked to draw a line through those 2 points for sure. I can't quite seem to make one yet. I'm going to draw a line through those 2 points. My line's not perfect because I'm not a perfect person, and I apologize for that. I can't change the way that I am. But I have a graph right there. I'm going to try to figure out what the rise of this graph is, and you're going to do it along with me. Even if you want to pause your video, you can probably do that too. I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3 points. It goes up. It looks like +3. That's the rise. It goes up +3. And then it actually runs over horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It runs over 5. So you could even say, hey, you could say the slope of this line is 3 over 5. The rise over the run. That represents the slope of that line, 3 over 5. Okay, that's a positive slope. Oh, spelling is hard. Did you know that? Spelling is so hard. That's a positive slope, okay, on that line right there. All right, this might seem like a lot of math and a lot of visualness, and I totally get that. Just remember that you're always going to try to write it as a ratio of rise over run. Think about it from left to right, okay? And if it's negative, that means it goes down from left to right. Positive goes up from left to right. You have zero slope and undefined slope as well, and you'll uncover some of those as you go along your merry way today. But I want you to remember for the rest of your life that of all my students, you're one of them. I want you to stay classy, okay? Don't be trashy. Try to stay classy, all right? And always remember that at the end of the day, you might win some, you might lose some, okay? But you're always going to be someone that I care about. Goodbye.